In our everyday experience, the concept of God often comes with deeply personal attributes. We imagine a deity with intentions, emotions, and preferences. A being that watches over us, listens to our prayers, and intervenes in the world. This personalized view of God is comforting. It mirrors our human relationships and offers a sense of intimacy with the divine. Yet across various spiritual traditions, there is a powerful counterpoint, the notion of an impersonal God. In Advaita Vedanta, for instance, Brahman is described as without attributes. It is not a being with a will or personality, but rather the ultimate reality that underlies all existence. This perspective presents a profound challenge to our conventional understanding of divinity. If God does not possess personal attributes, then the divine cannot be understood through the lens of human emotion and intention. It suggests a reality that exists beyond our subjective interpretations. Similarly, in Taoism, the Tao Te Ching famously states, "The Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao." Here, Laozi points to a fundamental truth. Any attempt to describe the ultimate reality in personal or definitive terms falls short. The Tao is beyond words and concepts, beyond the personal narratives we create to make sense of the world. This impersonal concept of God invites us to reconsider how we perceive objective reality. If the divine is beyond personal characteristics, then reality itself might be more than just a backdrop for human drama. It calls for a shift from seeing the world as merely a collection of objects and events filtered through human perception, to understanding it as a vast, interconnected whole. A reality where the divine presence is unbound by personal traits. As we shift from the personal lens to a broader view, we encounter the notion of the impersonal God. This is not a new concept. It has been present across various spiritual traditions for centuries. In Advaita Vedanta, Brahman is described as without attributes, pointing to a reality that is beyond all forms and characteristics. This idea suggests that the divine essence is not limited by qualities that can be named or imagined. The Tao Te Ching offers a similar perspective. Laozi writes, "The Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao." This teaching indicates that the ultimate truth is beyond the grasp of language and human conceptualization. The impersonal nature of the Tao resists being pinned down by definitions, inviting us to experience it directly, without the mediation of labels and descriptions. These teachings challenge our conventional understanding of God as a personal entity, with human-like qualities such as will, emotions, and preferences. Instead, they propose a reality that is more akin to an underlying principle or force, unconditioned by the attributes that define personal existence. The shift from a personal to an impersonal understanding of the divine invites us to reconsider what it means to perceive reality itself. When we approach reality through the lens of an impersonal God, we are encouraged to look beyond the surface of appearances and the biases of our subjective experience. It suggests a way of seeing the world that is not colored by desires, fears, or expectations. This perspective does not dismiss the personal experience, but rather situates it within a larger, more expansive context. The impersonal God concept, therefore, offers a pathway to understanding objective reality, one that is not distorted by the fluctuations of the personal mind. It asks us to engage with the world directly, experiencing it as it is, rather than as we wish it to be. In doing so, we may find a deeper connection to the essence of life itself. one that transcends the limitations of the personal self. In the pursuit of objective reality, the notion of an impersonal God invites us to reconsider the filters through which we perceive the world. Many spiritual traditions suggest that our understanding of reality is often clouded by personal biases and attachments. The idea of an impersonal God, a divine presence without human-like attributes, challenges us to strip away these subjective layers. Consider the teachings of Advaita Vedanta, which propose that Brahman, the ultimate reality, is beyond all attributes and forms. This perspective encourages us to look beyond the surface of things, to seek a truth that is not confined by personal narratives or desires. In this view, objective reality is not something that can be fully grasped through the senses or intellect alone. Instead, it requires a direct experience of the impersonal, a recognition of the oneness that underlies the apparent diversity of existence. Similarly, the Taoist concept of the Tao, as expressed in the Tao Te Ching, underscores the limitations of language and thought in capturing the essence of the universe. The famous line, "The Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao," reminds us that any attempt to define or categorize the ultimate reality falls short. This teaching invites us to engage with reality in a way that transcends verbal and conceptual boundaries, to experience the world as it is, rather than as we expect or wish it to be. By embracing the idea of an impersonal divine, we are prompted to cultivate a mindset of openness and humility. This approach encourages us to let go of preconceived notions and to encounter reality with a fresh perspective, untainted by the ego's need for control and understanding. In doing so, we may find that objective reality is not a distant goal, but a present truth, waiting to be realized within the stillness of our own being. To embrace the notion of an impersonal God is to confront a profound challenge, one that asks us to let go of our deepest intuitions about the divine. For many, the personal attributes of God, love, mercy, justice, offer a comforting connection to the divine realm. These attributes mirror the values and emotions of human experience, creating a sense of familiarity and intimacy. Yet, in traditions like Advaita Vedanta, the impersonal God, or Brahman, is described as without attributes. This concept asks us to envision a divinity that transcends human qualities. The challenge is not merely intellectual, but deeply existential. It requires us to relinquish the personal narratives that we often project onto the divine. In surrendering these narratives, we are invited to engage with reality in its most unadorned form. The impersonal God serves as a mirror, reflecting a universe that is indifferent to our desires and fears. In this reflection, we begin to see the contours of an objective reality, a reality that exists independently of our perceptions. This journey toward understanding an impersonal God invites us to cultivate a form of perception that is less clouded by the biases and projections of the ego. It calls for a shift from a dualistic perspective, where we see ourselves as separate from the divine, to a non-dual awareness that recognizes the interconnectedness of all things. The Tao Te Ching echoes this sentiment, suggesting that the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. This notion encourages us to go beyond the limitations of language and thought, to experience the divine directly, without the mediation of concepts. In accepting this invitation, we embark on a path of humility and openness. We learn to approach the mystery of existence with a sense of wonder, acknowledging that the divine may be beyond our full comprehension. It is an invitation not to understand, but to be present to the vastness and complexity of life, without the need to categorize or control it. Returning to the world, we find ourselves standing at the intersection of the personal and the impersonal. A crossroads where the human instinct to ascribe personal attributes to the divine meets the vastness of a reality that may be indifferent to such attributes. The challenge is not merely philosophical, it is deeply practical. How do we navigate our daily lives with this awareness? The notion of an impersonal God suggests that the divine essence, much like the Tao or the Brahman of Advaita Vedanta, is beyond the reach of our personal narratives and biases. It is a call to see clearly, to strip away the layers of subjective interpretation that color our perception of the world. This perspective does not demand a rejection of the personal or the subjective. Rather, it invites a balance. It asks us to recognize the stories we tell ourselves while remaining open to the possibility that reality, in its truest form, is far more expansive than our stories allow. In practical terms, this might mean approaching our interactions with a sense of humility, understanding that our viewpoint is but one among many. It might also mean cultivating a deeper sense of presence, where the mind is less preoccupied with labeling and more attuned to simply observing. One might find resonance with the words often attributed to the Taoist tradition, that the Tao, which can be spoken, is not the eternal Tao. This suggests that any attempt to fully encapsulate the divine or reality through language and concepts is inherently limited. As we return to the world with these reflections, we carry with us an invitation to engage with life, not as a series of tasks to be controlled, but as a mystery to be lived. In this way, the impersonal becomes not a distant abstraction, but a guiding principle that enriches our understanding and experience of the everyday. Before you return to the noise of the day, a small request. If this reflection gave you something to sit with, consider subscribing. It is the quietest way to keep these meditations coming. Leave a like so the work reaches others who are asking the same questions, and share it with one person who might need a moment of stillness today. Your support is what allows this channel to grow. Thank you for listening, and until we meet again in the next silence.